Hey folks, Luke Mullin and Amie Just here with the Lincoln Journal-Star, talking all things Nebraska football as they get ready for the season opener here against Cincinnati on Thursday. Wanted to give you a quick preview and some score predictions from us here at the end. But quick, starting with the practice report here from the last week around the football facility. It's been an interesting game week, with the game being on Thursday, having to start before the weekend. But you hear Matt Rule, you hear from what the players had to say yesterday, and certainly there's a very business-like approach they've had so far.
Yeah, I think they've threaded the needle on it a little bit. They're really excited, right? This is a fun opportunity for them to play in Kansas City. A lot of them are Chiefs fans. A lot of them are from the Kansas City area or have ties to the Kansas City area. And they're letting that excitement show, but it's also a business trip. And I think they've done a good job about navigating both of those things.
Absolutely. And some of the other takeaways, the depth chart, of course, week one depth chart, subject to change. It will be very different, of course, by the time a couple of weeks roll around, injuries, players playing their way up, all sorts of things. But I think the big takeaway was still offensive tackle, still ongoing. Matt Rule, really nice things to say about Gunnar Gatula. He's a name we hear a lot about at left tackle. And, of course, Teddy Prohaska and Tyler Canuck are those two guys at right tackle. But they're really confident in these guys, and seems like they just wanted to see a couple more reps in practice before they make that final decision.
Yeah, I have never seen that many oars before at that position, and offensive coordinator Dana Holgorsen feels the same way. Holgorsen said the other day that they're going to rotate some in the game, kind of sarcastically said that in his press availability the other day. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know who's going to be out there first, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see a couple different combinations.
Yeah, definitely something to watch for the way that plays out. And some of the young guys on the depth chart, too, is interesting to see young wide receivers, young running backs, TJ Lateef, the young quarterback, of course, who made his way up there as the backup as well. A lot of talent in that program, not just for the future, but for now as well. Big takeaway from that early week one depth chart. And as well, black shirts handed out, always a big milestone for the Husker defense. 10 so far. Matt Rule said he does expect that 11th to come here before the game. And next, our Husker hot topic. We'll get into the Cincinnati preview here in a moment, but as we head into the season, the different aspects of this Husker team, run defense, run offense, pass defense, pass offense, those four generally, what do you think is strongest so far?
Yeah, I think I like both aspects of the run and pass offense. I'm a little unsure of the, run defense, but again, we haven't seen these guys yet. They lost a lot of guys up front, so I'm not saying that, it's going to be bad. I'm just saying we don't know, right? And then pass defense. Up front, again, unsure, but the back end seems to be solid.
Yeah, I would say the run offense, certainly there's a lot of excitement. And again, very different what they do out on the practice field versus, actual opponents that are going to be looking to deal some serious contact. But Emmett Johnson, really nice runner. We've heard good things about these young backs as well. That offensive line firing off the ball, I think a lot to like there for Nebraska fans. But of course, the opponent, Cincinnati, that they've got to defend, Scott Satterfield, experienced coach, has been there for a couple of years. The Big 12 style offense, I think that's going to be an interesting matchup between Nebraska and Cincinnati. Brendan Sorsby, real scrambler, real runner with the ball. That's hurt Nebraska a lot in previous years, some of those mobile quarterbacks. And he's got a really nice weapon at tight end. Joe Royer caught about 50 balls last year. Asked John Butler about it during the week. He said he feels that Nebraska has those coverage linebackers and defensive backs to do a good job on him. But he's a tough guy to defend. A little bit of a question mark there at wide receiver position. They got some new guys coming in. And just earlier today, saw from Satterfield about the running backs. 50-50 split, he says, to expect Evan Pryor and Tawi Walker. And if that name sounds familiar to Nebraska fans, former Wisconsin back, had a pretty good day against the Nebraska defense a year or two ago. So a lot of talent there on offense. Going to be interesting to see how that matchup plays out.
Yeah, a lot of question marks, right? And one of the things that happens every year this time of year is, they've got to watch a lot of film from a lot of different schools because the transfer portal era has completely changed how the first couple weeks are run.
Definitely. And as well, defensive line, Dante Corleone. He's the key standout. Great name, by the way. Corleone, fantastic football, defensive lineman. Going to really wreak some havoc. He said that they've been looking to get Dylan Raiola out of the pocket, pressure him. That was something he said this week. And then from a Cincinnati perspective, if you asked Cincinnati fans probably what was the one area they were concerned about heading into the season, it would be the secondary. They've answered some of those questions during training camp, but for Dylan Raiola, a big opportunity for that Nebraska offense against a potentially weaker Cincinnati secondary. Before we get into our predictions here, a couple quick fire questions about this matchup. Start with Dylan Raiola. As I mentioned, we're going to set 250 passing yards. You think he hits that in this matchup?
I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the conditions are good. Expect some good offense from these two teams, so could be up around that mark. And then other side of the ball, how do the Black Shirts fare?
I think they fare okay. It wouldn't surprise me if they give up a few explosive plays. You wonder about tackling this early in the season. That's been a talking point and a point that was made very clear in some of the Week 0 games. So I think they'll look probably a little bit better than what we saw last week around the nation or world, I guess, with the Ireland game. But there'll be room for improvement.
Yeah, I just think that it's a different style of offense that they face than, that they're going to see in most of the Big Ten. So that'll be a little bit different for them to adjust to. Again, some good weapons there for Cincinnati on offense. And then finally, it's a late kick. 8 p.m. is the current kickoff time that they expect. When's this game going to get over?
So I'm thinking about it this way. It says 8 p.m., but it probably won't actually kick off until about like 8:15, 8:20. And so you add 3.5 hours to that. That's about midnight.
Yeah, definitely a late one for you Husker fans. You've been warned. And finally, let's wrap it up with our game predictions. Week 1, does Nebraska go away with the win? I'm going to say yes, 31-28 over Cincinnati.
Yeah, I have a little bit more faith. I think Nebraska 34, Cincinnati 17.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati, tough opponent, a lot of question marks still. But this Nebraska team, we've seen the improvements on offense. We've heard from Matt Rule about how motivated this team is. Certainly a lot going for them. Expect a big home crowd, or neutral site crowd, I suppose I should say. A lot of Husker fans there in Kansas City. Again, 8 p.m. Thursday, that is the matchup. We'll have all the coverage for you online at journalstar.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.